How's it going, everyone? I'm Jonathan Zaharek, and welcome to the High Peaks Weekly Report. Welcome to the very first episode. Now, I know you probably have a lot of questions like, what the heck is this video? First, let me introduce myself. I'm Jonathan Zaharek. I'm a professional photographer and guide here in the Adirondack High Peaks. I moved here a few years ago, but I was born and raised coming here, and I've committed the last 5 years of my life to this park. This is my YouTube channel, and on this channel I have created a plethora of hiking videos in every single season, so feel free to go check those out. But as far as this video goes, this is something I've been thinking about for a while, and I want this to be molded around you guys and what you want. There is not one specific platform to be able to get all your information in one spot. And I'm not claiming that this is gonna be that either, but some people go to the Backcountry Forum, some people get emails from the Mountain Club or the DEC. But here, I wanna bring you an informative, educational, and entertaining way of telling you the High Peaks Weekly Report. Trail conditions, weather, news, funny stories, tips, tricks, photos of the week. I want this to revolve around you guys. So with that being said, let's get started. Starting off with what I've hiked this past week, I've done Coldin, Wright, Haystack Basin, Saddleback, and Lower Wolfjaw via Benny's Brook Slide. And I'll tell you, over the last week, the weather has been crazy. We had a high of like 40 degrees and we had a low of like negative 25 degrees. It was pretty nuts. In fact, you can see here by this chart that it was colder on Whiteface this past week than it was on K2. Strongest winds yet this winter. However, nothing compared to Mount Washington. Mount Washington is still getting, 130-mile-an-hour winds just casually. Also this past weekend, I did Mount Coldin. Here you can see a picture of me. Yep, right there. Yep, that's me in a 7-foot deep spruce trap, and I wasn't even touching the bottom. And here's me and my two friends going up Benny's Brook Slide yesterday. Here's a little bit of the ski down, and it's actually pretty bad conditions. Here's a video of Matt Adams. Wow. Hey, Matt. Yep. Knocking a few layers of snow there off, showing you the avalanche conditions. We dug a pit, and I'll tell you, this past weekend with the weather being super warm, rainy, and then super cold, a lot of the avalanche conditions were suppressed. However, there's always a risk for them, and it's different every single place that you go, guys, so always be aware of that danger. If you do go in avalanche danger territory, make sure you bring in a probe, a beacon, and a shovel. Following into this next week, the weather's actually supposed to be quite mild. Beautiful skies. Hopefully it will stay that way, but we all know Adirondack weather. And going into this next week, it's actually going to eventually warm up. Enjoy the snow right now while it lasts, and we'll probably get another warm front, and then it's gonna snow again. But winter's not yet over, not even close. Make sure you guys are always checking the weather every single minute before you go on your hike if you guys are going up there. I've put in the description below my #1 recommended weather source. It's the NOAA Mountain Point Forecast, not to be confused with mountainforecast.com. It's just Mountain Point Forecast, and it gives you exact 36-hour pre-updates on almost every single mountain. Of course, remember that the summit temperatures will always be worse than they are in the bottom, even 50 feet below tree line. It can change in a blink of an eye, I promise. I know a lot of things this week were hiked. I've been monitoring the forums and everything. I know Allen's been trekked out. I know the Sewards were trekked out, and the Santanonis were trekked out. Obviously, most of the Central High Peaks and the Dixies. Almost every single thing in the last 3 or 4 days as of this video, which is recorded on March 5th, have been packed out. However, you guys got to remember that can change easily in a heartbeat overnight. So even if you know someone's hiked it the day before, that does not mean you are guaranteed a visible trail. Remember to always have a map, even if you know the trails, because it can become a whiteout, and even on a bluebird day, you might not know exactly where the trail goes. For example, if you're going in between Boundary and Iroquois. For all you know, you might end up in 10-foot spruce traps getting stranded upside down, and you might suffocate to death. But hopefully that won't happen to you. You guys also need to remember the winter gear rules. Also, sorry, I know I've been going off on these tangents with the weather and the gear and all this stuff, but I promise you it's gonna get more entertaining. Remember that snowshoes are mandatory, and we're not just talking on your backpack and you're wearing micro spikes because it's easier on your feet. No, we're talking you need to be wearing snowshoes on your feet from car to car, guys. Micro spikes are designed for ice, and yes, if the conditions require micro spikes, then for that short section, feel free to put on your crampons, your micro spikes if you're going up to the summit, guys. But if it's packed snow, please please wear your snowshoes. It will go such a long way. One person not wearing snowshoes can absolutely destroy what hundreds of people worked tirelessly to do for the trails. It's to better yourself and the next person following behind you. And if you're planning the hike and you haven't hiked yet this winter, guys, please remember the 10 winter essentials and what not to bring. For example, don't bring cotton, but do bring insulation. Cotton is not an insulation, people. Remember to insulate your water properly, warm water. If it's in an Nalgene, put the bottle upside down, put a wool sock on it, guys. Make sure your water doesn't freeze. Headlamp, extra batteries. There were 2 incidents this past week that the DEC put out of people who were overdue for their night hikes. They didn't have headlamps. They weren't prepared for the cold conditions. Out in Johnsburg Lodge, one rescue was not done until after 1 in the morning, and a lady also had to spend the night on Lower Wolfjaw because she didn't have a headlamp. Always have a headlamp. Even if you're going out for 2 hours and you started your hike at 9 a.m., always have a headlamp. Seriously. And I always bring extra stuff too, just in case I meet someone on the trail who doesn't have something that they should have, and sometimes I'll give it to them. And also, the simplest thing that costs you almost nothing but could save your life, or at least your hands and your feet. Hand warmers. Bring hand warmers. Yeah, they might cost $2 or $3 per pack, but guys, oh my gosh, hand warmers will save your life. Not only have I put my recommended weather source below, but I've also put a link to the DEC bulletin, the 10 essentials, and the Leave No Trace website. You guys have to remember that when you're going into these woods, we want to leave them better than how we found them. And the 7 principles of Leave No Trace go super far to minimize the impact on the environment and the natural resources of the Adirondacks. On to the next section, trail less traveled. I'm going to recommend 3 mountains for you guys to possibly go check out other than being in the High Peaks Wilderness, because this place can be overcrowded, overused, and why not go try something else somewhere else? Number 1, just north of Whiteface, we got Silver Lake Mountain. Second on the list, a fire tower, many of you might know, this is Poco Moonshine, just west of Plattsburgh. And third, down in Hamilton County, one of the tallest mountains that's not a high peak, but also the tallest fire tower, Snowy Mountain. This is an incredible mountain, incredible views, great fire tower, and I'd recommend possibly checking one of these guys out, maybe even before the winter ends. Next section is the photos of the week. I asked some people to submit some images, and that's what I'm gonna ask you guys to do. But first, let's get to the top 3 photos. In no particular order, we got BB Rogue climbing Sister Right. That ice looks pretty sweet. Next, we got Kicking with the Birches, a beautiful day up here between Whiteface and Esther with her dog in the unbroken wilderness. Wow, that is absolutely gorgeous. And third is from John Kingsbury. Just approaching the fall summit of Coldin, we got that beautiful alpine vegetation sign. This should also be a reminder, guys, to watch where you step in the winter, because you can and will kill anything that you step on sticking above the snow. Do you want to submit a photo? Submit your photo to Instagram using the hashtag HighPeaksReport. That's it, HighPeaksReport. That hashtag doesn't exist, but now it does. And last but not least, I said in the beginning, I want this show to be built around you guys. This episode is not necessarily the best demonstration of what this might actually consist of. I would love for you guys to submit ideas for the shows in the comments and listener submitted questions. There's a link below for you guys to ask a question, and I'll answer a few of your questions in every single weekly video. I'd love to put this out every single Wednesday to talk about the past weekend and to talk about the future weekend. So, you guys have been great. I'm really looking forward to hearing back from you guys. Again, if you have any ideas, I want to hear them, because I want this to be an incredible source of information and help to you guys. I'm Jonathan Zaharek. Thank you so much again for watching. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next week.